Welcome to The Good Work, a podcast and video series that follows The Event Company, an event design company that specializes in corporate, nonprofit, and social events. Our passion lies in creating one-of-a-kind events that share the good work of organizations we are fortunate to collaborate with. Tune in for conversations with leaders of these great groups, our best advice for your next event, and some behind-the-scenes moments. Now, let us show you the good work.
Every occupation has their own jargon and lingo, but we can't help but think that ours is some of the most laughable and unique. In this episode of The Good Work, the ladies at the event company will provide some insight on some of the that event designers say, our event terminology that we live in each day, and even some of our most interesting incidents and requests. Please welcome to today's podcast, Addie, Callie, Sarah, and Maddie.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You guys looking good today.
Ooh.
Looking real fancy.
You.
You're looking real fancy. So this is going to be a fun episode. It's called SHIT, Event Planners Say.
Oh.
Maybe Nate can bleep that out. Event Planners Say.
Okay, we're going for it.
Yeah.
Going for it. Okay.
So there are so many lingo and terminology and jargon that we all say day in and day out. And sometimes we're in meetings and we'll say the abbreviations or the words and they're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
I sometimes think it's almost even more of the odd requests we have to ask for that only we would ever have to ask for. And that's some of the
So let's
we have to do. Yeah.
So should we let's start there because there are some weird, not just requests, but incidences that have happened over the last few years that we've all come across. My favorite is one just recently though. And if I can ask, I may have you two role play it because
oh my gosh.
we got this request for an event, or we wanted to host an event. We're not gonna say where, but the cost was pretty exorbitant for us to be able to host the event there. Why don't you pretend like you're the venue?
Okay.
And you
I'm
pretend
Sarah.
you're Sarah.
Okay. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Hi there. I was just hoping to be able to talk with you about possibly hosting an event in your event space.
Ha! Our rental fee is at least $20,000, ma'am.
I'll present that to my client and I'll be back in touch with you soon.
Okay.
And that was our face of
$20,000.
Yeah. And it's kind of ridiculous because, this space was cool. It was outdoors. They had a nice environment, but...
And we saw it just recently too. Remember? I mean, and it was cool, but was it worth $20,000? I doubt that.
No.
I mean, we've rented out facilities before where we've had all of the space and super private and everyone else is not invited. Like they close their doors down for us, but not for that kind of dollar.
That didn't
amount.
even include food. It was just the rental fee.
And I suppose, I don't know if they thought, a lot of times people will think, I need to cover my costs for whatever I'd make in that space
Yeah,
during
and I
that
get that.
night.
Totally get it.
But it was a really small space. I don't know how they would have got that many people through that night. But
do you think they just didn't want to host the event?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would
They're probably
guess.
like, this girl's on crack. Ha, you're a joke. And it's $20,000.
Didn't you say something like, I'm going to have to talk to my client about that? Yeah. Present all the options.
Let me run that one by our client.
Let's see what they say.
Gosh.
Let's see what they say.
We'll be in touch.
Another funny request that we've gotten over the years is to build or to create 23,000 staked signs for one event.
That was hard to try to describe at that point. So that idea
It's
of
hard to describe to the vendor.
We want it to fill this whole grand grassy area. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm thinking I think we have about 16,000. And I'm like, okay, let me talk to my vendor. And I'm like, where do I even start?
The total was 23,000 of these stake signs.
Because they wanted two separate, And he was kind of like, really?
It's a really awesome idea. Kudos to that client because we absolutely love working with them. And it's a really cool idea.
Totally.
But it just was it's a large request. And I think the vendor too was like, ooh.
Well, even the labor involved with all that, it's kind of sticker shock when you see labor and 16,000 stakes.
Totally.
Can you imagine us out there placing each one? Boop, 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 and trying to line up.
No, we were going to do it.
The thousands of them.
I mean, we were.
Goodness.
Yeah. It's just always funny when I was like typing out the request, and I usually put like my numbers in kind of like parentheses to be able to like, and I was like 5 digits, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever done that on a quantity of anything. And then he calls me later and he's like, it's really 16,000, and I'm like, yeah, plus the other 7,000. Like,
did you add a zero?
Was it an accident? I was like, no, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
that was one.
What other fun incidences? We always, like, with some of my favorite kind of phrases or maybe words are like, don't forget to pack all the lighters.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what people think when we're event planners and that's what we do. But when we're like, don't forget to pack all the lighters, it's weird. Do you not think that's weird? Or maybe I'm just...
I think it's a little,
or when you have
like
big lighters like that in your purse.
Yeah, it's not something you carry around, that's for sure.
Sometimes I'll be in the middle of an event and I'll reach for my back pocket and I'll have like 6 lighters in my back pocket. I'm like, oh geez.
I do the same. I'm like, lighters. Oh, this is another good one. Like, I'll always be like, oh, can someone grab a shim? And like everyone's always kind of like, what? And I always have a bunch of those in my back pocket. Weird things. A magic eraser sometimes will pop out here and there.
Shim, like our kit consists of shims, rubber gloves. Well, not rubber gloves, but I mean food service gloves.
Yeah. Fishing line, paper
boatloads
clips.
of markers, lighters galore.
I think we have 5 or 6 kinds of tape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of
Tons
like a
of different
miscellaneous
gaff
junk
tape.
drawer
Junk
kind
drawer.
of thing. Like,
But we carry it around with us. And if you're with Sarah, she overpacks it. So we have plenty. What about other requests that we get for different things to bring along with us?
Ooh.
I don't know, but like when I think of that, I think of like our fluff. So a lot of people don't know what fluff is. It's like the crinkle paper that you put in boxes.
Yeah, like when we order the 40-pound boxes. So the first time I ever ordered the 40-pound box, because usually it just comes in like these little squares, like 10 pounds of fluff, whatever. And the first time I'd ever ordered the 40 pounds of fluff, it came like up to here, standing.
You can fit a person.
Standing.
Well,
in
we
there.
know you can fit a couple.
Because we did.
Definitely.
I mean, we can. But yeah, 40 pounds of fluff is a lot of fluff.
It's always laughable when the UPS guy drops that one off.
Yeah.
He's like, we've got a big one for you today. What's in there? Paper.
Yeah, literally paper.
Some other language I think that us as event designers, we always talk a little bit about is like 120s and 132s. So we're always like, I need 11 120s and 11 of the 132s.
Yeah, you're just like, I remember at a recent site visit, you're just like yelling that at me from across the room. Like, write down 132s. We need 11. I'm like, okay. And the people kept her like,
What are all these
numbers?
We kind of are like doctors, right? I'm like scalpel,
Yes.
Which one of
scissors. I don't even know what else people say.
Scissors.
But we use like what other like rental stuff? We use 130. So for those that are watching or listening, 132 is the size of a linen, and that size usually hits the floor, which is nice. So we've got a cool guy. But 132s, 120s are ones that will just touch, or 120s go long on the 5-foot rounds as well. But
We use 132s for cocktails mostly.
yeah.
Yep.
We got 132s and 120s.
And then 90 by 156. I usually say 156 for
190 by 132.
banquet rectangle
Yeah.
tables.
So many numbers.
So many numbers.
I know.
But we all know what they mean.
Well, you do now, Maddie.
You do
'cause
now.
You lied to us
Yeah.
during your internship request.
I
intern
know
interview.
now.
You gotta do it.
I'm
You gotta do
teachable.
it.
What about our favorite at USD when they're like, when we're talking to actually it's
Well, I
Core,
don't know
DJ Core.
whose idea it was.
Well, we had the massive, it was like 50 some feet by 18 feet or 22 feet tall screens, like all these screens built together. And we're like, oh, let's just build a 65-foot stage.
Yeah.
So someone said, that's what we say. We're like, oh, we'll just do like a 30-foot or 65-foot stage. And we're all like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Like the
And then
crazy
you're like,
part
yeah.
is like when you like stand next to it, it's like this. You just look straight.
Yeah, because
up.
it was 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was giant.
Big.
And then when you see Chris like literally running underneath of it, like it fits Chris underneath.
It can
You
fit
know
a
how
Chris.
it can fit a Chris. How tall? You know how tall it was. But yeah, no, I don't know many groups, organizations that build 65 foot
And
stages.
think it's like normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real kicker.
Yeah, because I think people are dealing with like the 4 foot by 8 foot sections, and they have a couple like
step
sections.
stool.
Right. Yeah.
And they can just step up on it themselves. These we have like 2 things of stairs on all sides, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeez.
What else? What about one other funny thing I think that has happened over the years is the branding iron.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really even funny. It's just cool.
It's just unique. I remember I came in one day early, like last spring, I suppose about a year ago now. Yeah. And you just said, Callie, I have something for you to do today. And I said, okay. And you're like, you need to order a branding iron. And I'm like, what? Like, I have to do what? For like, why? Like, what what am I doing?
What are we branding?
What are we doing?
Sandwich
and she's
branding.
like, well, it's actually for an award. And I'm like, well, okay. And so I call up a company who creates these, but for actual branding purposes. And I have to explain to him that like this is not being used. Like I need it custom, but it's for an award, and I need it in a box, and I need it in all. And again, we work with great people, and he's like, oh yeah, not a big deal, and he was great to work with. But I was like, I will be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about what I'm looking for here, but
yeah, but he helped. He was super helpful.
Yeah,
shout out to Mandan, North Dakota.
Yeah, they're great.
They did a great job.
Super helpful for someone who didn't know a lot, but it was kind of an odd request.
Yeah,
to just pick up an order one day. But
another odd request, Callie. I think you're all into the role playing today. I won't role play this one, but I was on my way to the cities once. It was last end of July, I think it was, maybe beginning of August, and I had to call up Callie and ask her to jump into the dumpster.
I remember.
Which time? No.
I know. We've talked a little bit about this before, but we had a client who lost $500, or so they thought they lost a $500 prize from an event. And it was in all these envelopes, supposedly, these manila envelopes, which, we are so careful and look through all those things. And I didn't see it. Like one of us would have seen it, but they were adamant that the $500 was missing still. And so I call up Callie, and I'm obviously in the cities. You were gone. And it's like, okay.
I don't think you said it right away. Like I think you were more like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do. Like, should we kind of ask, like pose the question, should we look in the trash? And then you said their staff doesn't have, like they're short staffed this morning. They can't go out and look for it. Because I called over
to the event venue.
And she's like, so I think we might have to go look through the trash. And then I'm like, does that mean you're telling me that I need to go in the dumpster? And she's like, yes.
And here's what she says. She goes, well, I'm in like a white, like
I was out,
over.
and she's like, we need to go now. And I'm like, I am in a white pullover, and like I think they were like a lighter colored like legging. And I'm like, okay, I'll go now. Like,
and guess what? The client had it the whole time.
I know.
Whoops. We really love our clients.
We will do anything.
We will do anything.
Also blessed that we don't have a boss that's like, all right, you're going in the trash today. Sorry about it, but
I know. It was like
she was like nervous to ask. Like,
I feel like she was more so just like trying to kind of like go around it. I don't know if you were waiting for me to be like, I'll go in the dumpster, but I kind of was like, are you telling me I need to go in the trash?
I don't know.
Not saying I didn't want to, because I again would do anything for my clients.
Maybe I had PTSD from our dumpsters, because you and I were in the dumpster the month before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jumping on cardboard boxes.
Yeah. Security was right outside thinking we're robbing the place, or we're like putting everything into the dumpsters.
They're like, no worries, sir. We're just loading 6 tons of cardboard in here.
Literally a 10-foot cargo van full of it.
Good grief. The things we do, you guys.
So it was time for you to take one for the team.
All right.
Granted, yours was like dirty trash. Ours was clean cardboard.
Yeah, yours was like good to go. And I was like, beer, like half filled beer cans were just like falling all over me. And I had to
Sloppy Joes.
I had to get in it.
My gosh.
I had to get in it. It was, yeah.
Bless
I
your
won't
heart.
get into it.
Good job. Another funny thing that a request that came in last summer was with Sarah. And we had an event that we had to move in 2 days. And it's all like, hello, Sarah, we have impending tornadic activity. I'm going to have you to move this event.
And I was like, okay, well, it's in 2 days.
Remember? So I talked with my meteorologist friend, and he's like, well, there's like impending tornadic activity. And those were his exact words. I'm like, shit, like we literally need to figure out how we're going to move this event, because it was an outdoor event, super high end. Yeah. And we had to figure out what to do. But it was literally those words. I'm like, you're going to have to.
I swear I called I don't know, all the vendors and venues in Sioux Falls being like, do you have any availability? We need this for 150 people. Let's make
tomorrow.
And like we not only that, but we had vendors that were already ready to go at the first venue that it didn't work for them to come to the next venue.
Yeah.
So we had to like cancel those people, because you move from an outdoor space where you needed like the toilets, the restrooms, the hand washing stations, all those things. And now you're coming into a new space where you don't need any of those things. So, I mean, thank heavens we work, like you said, some really awesome vendors and event professionals because they were good with it.
Yeah.
There was no tornado, if anybody's wanting to know.
But it was windy.
It was windy and hot.
Yes.
So
it was a good choice.
But Dorothy stayed in Kansas. She didn't make her way up to South Dakota for that one.
There was no tables like looping around in the air.
I don't know. That wind was heavy. It could have picked him up. I don't know.
It was pretty strong. Everybody that came in, they're like, "Woo! Thank goodness we're inside."
So funny. Yeah. Any other fun little incidences over the last few years? I can't think of any more right now.
Not off the top of my head, but
I want to get into, before we talk about abbreviations, because I love abbreviations. What about some of our go-to.coms that we go to a lot?
These are good because they're all so like almost too obvious.
And that's sometimes what makes them hard to find.
Kind of.
Is you think it would be an elaborate thing. Then
like our friends that are doing the TEDx event here in Sioux Falls coming up soon. He had asked me over the weekend, like, where can I get this red round carpet? And I'm like, redcarpets.com.
Yeah.
But that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they don't have just red carpets. They have blue and orange and purple and pink and every color under the sun.
I feel like I always get tasked with that kind of stuff.
You
and
do.
I'm like, let me just search this. Sure as it pops up. I mean,
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, redcarpets.com. What's the other one?
Cheesecloth.com, rubberstamp.com.
Yeah. Speaking of rubber stamps, we just got rubberstamp.com delivered today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. That's strange.
What's candles for less?
Yeah.
And then
Webstrant.com.
Webstrant.
That's a good,
That is one of my favorite
gem.
sites.
That's a good one.
Yeah, super gem. Webstrant.com has literally everything you would ever need for an offsite event.
Yeah.
The scoops that we've used,
Literally everything.
tongs, napkins,
some linens,
checkered
like
deal. Yeah.
So
Lots
if you're
of
ever
good
looking for something,
Webstrant.com.
or just think of the most simple thing you could search, and that's usually what it is.
And it's good. Yep.
Yep.
I love that.
So what about our abbreviations?
Ooh, we have some good ones, you guys. First one could be ROS.
Ooh, yeah.
Run a show.
Run a show. Ooh, you should quiz us.
Okay.
We're ready.
Deal.
Okay, I like this.
VOG.
Voice
of God.
of God.
I feel like this is a spelling bee.
So voice of God is that kind of the behind the scenes, like when guests are coming in, they're like, dinner will be served in 5 minutes. Please take your seat. I mean, they don't talk just like that.
That'd be a good VOG.
Where's Chris? Where's Chris when we need him?
I've done VOG plenty of times. But yeah, that's the VOG. The ROS is run of show. Before we skip over that one, that's more like what's happening minute to minute, what's kind of going on.
Kind of like the timeline of the event.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Your next word is BEO.
Banquet event order.
Ooh.
Nice.
We need a buzzer. Like Jeopardy.
So banquet event order is, you can explain it.
Okay, so when you are at a venue, anytime you have food, beverage, AV, staging, anything,
rooms,
linens,
setup,
everything. Anytime you have an event, basically you'll get a banquet event order and just explains and describes all that you are purchasing from them, basically.
Or doing or set up, because that BEO is like the Bible for anybody who's setting up that venue space that day. So not only does the layout come along with it, but in that BEO, it shows like how many tables, how many chairs, how the linen napkin is folded, literally everything.
Yeah, down to like coffee, water, salt, and pepper shakers on the table. It's like down to every last bit.
Yeah.
Well, what about AV?
Audio visual?
Oh,
I like couldn't like it together.
Me
Like,
too. Did you see? I'm like,
Back to the quiz. AV.
the most basic one.
I'm like,
Audio
I don't know what the
visual.
V is, but AV, audiovisual.
Good.
There are guys at Pinnacle. They handle that.
Yeah.
Okay.
AV1, AV2.
RFP.
Request for proposal.
Ooh.
So sometimes we get RFPs from, I don't know, just larger entities, sometimes government or state groups that will ask us to submit an RFP, which basically we have to fill out all the details of request. So they may want to know how many staff, how many hours, what's the budget look like, all those pieces. So RFP.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a spelling bee.
I know.
RFP.
I know.
Can you use it in a sentence?
I knew the RFP.
I remember
VOG
last
and
summer,
RFP.
me and Addie asked me and the other intern at the time, Carly, she was like, I'm going to need you guys to send off some RFPs today, blah, blah, blah. She just keeps talking, and me and Carly are like, oh, what?
What
I
are
was
those?
like, Carly, what is that? And she was
That's
like,
so funny.
Maddie, I have no idea. And then we're kind of like, Addie, what is this? And she's like, oh yeah, you're new.
It's hard because sometimes you get stuck in that lingo, even with clients or our own internal teams. You know, it's our own jargon.
Mm-hmm. All
What's the next one?
Back to the quiz. SOW.
Statement of work.
And
that
what
is typically included in like an event proposal or any details. Basically, it says what we are doing and what they're doing. And sometimes if you aren't listing out what your SOW includes or the detail of work, and they're like, oh, Sarah, do you think you could mop the floors? You're like, oh, it's not my SOW. I'm going to have to charge you for that. So you just make sure that it's all included in there and what her fee is going to be if you have to upcharge her.
$300
per hour.
Okay, POC.
Point of contact.
Okay, good, fast. F&B.
Food and beverage.
Okay,
typically, we talk about what minimums are for F&B, min max for F&B.
Yep.
And last but not least, STD.
Save the date.
Is this a nursing class? Save the date. That one gets us a lot because we will put on like agendas or project plans or any project management systems that we're using. We're like, STD is due this date. And we're like, what in the heck is that? And I remember one committee meeting, actually it might have been with the budget blind folks, but they're like, we did not want to ask what that was.
That's
like,
awesome.
It's just to save the date. No problem.
Yeah.
I know.
That's awesome.
We have to type that one out the first time, and then they kind of
get it.
I mean, nobody wants to get it.
Even though we did, I feel like we did forget an abbreviation though. We use TEC, and people still have to ask like, "Oh, what is that?" And we're like, "Oh, it's us." And they're like, "What do you mean us?" And I'm like, "The event company."
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
Good one.
Okay, we have some terminology for you guys.
Ooh.
What is a rider?
Are we getting quizzed still?
I like this. I like the quiz.
Okay.
So a writer is, most of the time it's with artists or entertainers, which kind of list out their same SOW, what their statement of work is going to be, but also sometimes it lists out the radius restrictions. So for example, if you have a country music act coming in, what's their radius restrictions that they cannot, like there can't be another country music concert within 90 miles or whatever. But also it includes like their food request, drink request, what time they go on stage, AV needs, stage setup or stage plotting. There's a lot of those things. So if you need 10 green M&Ms and...
At all times, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't say the writer, but yeah, I'd be happy to. It just includes all those things. And from the event side of things, we want to make sure that we are getting all those things. Like we've had concerts where you've had to go get some of the writer pieces. Because those pieces, those artists or entertainers, that's what they expect. It's not being, I don't know, high maintenance or anything like that. But if you're used to one kind of peanut butter when you're on the road year round, you don't want to get like a cashew butter because then your stomach might get upset or whatever. And you're not going to be on stage like, totally gotta go. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you just have to make sure you're abiding by those things. But also it's just this is their home when they're here. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're helping them in every capacity. But also the writer tells them and us as the client, like what time they go on and what time they come off.
Yeah.
So it's like a contract, but it includes all of those details. Gosh, we've had writers that have been 50, 60 pages long and some writers that are literally just a front back piece of paper. But for the most part, any larger professionals have pretty long, lengthy writers.
I always joke about your writer.
Ooh, what it would be?
Yeah.
Beef sticks, string cheese, LaCroix. That's it.
Yeah.
Tequila, maybe.
Tequila. And black towels. No, just kidding. I don't have any writer.
Okay, Callie, can you tell us the different seating charts and the styles?
Oh, gosh. Yes,
Callie.
I would love to. Okay, so we'll start with probably the most used is a banquet style. So that's like your typical round table, usually with 8 to 10 seats. On that banquet style, though, we can also make it like Grammy style or crescent style, right? Is the other word for it. And that's where you only have 6. And that way, no one has to turn their chair. So, for example, at conferences, we like to use Grammy style because that way you can just stay in your seat all day and not have to flip to view the speaker or the presentation or whatever behind you.
Yeah.
Theater style is typical, just chairs next to each other and just rows of chairs.
Yep. Just like you're in a theater.
Yep. Classroom style is like a classroom. You have a chair and you usually have a table or a desk of some sort in front of you.
No chairs on the back side, so it's usually just one side.
Just
Some classroom setups have 18-inch tables, which most tables for width-wise are 30 inches wide. So some classroom or some venues have 18 inches. So it makes it shorter. Like if you have a piece of paper that's 11 inches, you don't need too much further than that, right? So they have 18-inch ones. But
and the last one I can think of is just like reception, which is basically just like standing space.
Cocktails.
And cocktails, yep.
Yeah.
I think that was all of them.
Good job.
You passed.
Yay.
Good job.
What if we're at a venue and we ask them for skirting?
Means it's either mini skirt or pencil skirt, full skirt,
Maxi
skirt. Skirting is on, most of the time it's on banquet tables where it goes all the way around. And typically you overlay that first table with a linen and then a matching skirt. So it literally looks like a ruched? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Ruched skirt surrounding it. Sometimes they're Velcroed on, sometimes they're clipped on, sometimes it's clip and Velcro. I will tell you that one time I got like a jacket or something caught on one, and I literally it like went the whole thing way around. I mean, it happens because sometimes those clips like get right there.
Or like I've bumped one of them before, so it came off, and I was like trying to get it back, and then I ended up they all came off then, and you're like, oh,
whatever, it's done so. But
yeah.
Most of the time that skirting should match the linen, but sometimes it doesn't. Like you may have a white overlay with a black skirt or black and white, but yeah, for the most part they match. But skirting is expensive to rent though too. I don't know if anybody knows that. Sometimes your skirting can be 1.5 to 2 times the cost of the linen.
Wow.
However, if any venue offers it to you, I would take it up in a heartbeat just because it kind of pulls that look together. So you're not having just a blank base.
Yeah.
But it's totally worth every penny.
Definitely.
Totally.
Good job on the skirting.
Talk to us about corkage fees.
Ooh.
There can be a lot of different ways to corkage. So you can have liquor, bottles of wine corkage. You can have food corkage fees.
Corkage.
Some venues call corkage where you're bringing in like your own food, like protein bars, or it's just kind of a increase in fees for them because you're not
purchasing it from them.
Right. So they charge kind of a separate fee. But most of the time corkage is with you when you're bringing in your own alcohol or beer or wine or champagne or
I feel like it's more that route than it is food. We very rarely come across with food products, but occasionally.
I think it's weird when venues call corkage though on your
for food.
Like we have an event in another city where we're bringing in like protein bars and shakes and some of that other stuff. And they're like, your corkage fee is going to be this of the MSRP. Blah, 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 blah.
Let me cork up my protein shake, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I don't like how they call them corkage fees, but
it's just an additional fee for
yeah.
brought in products.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you get food donated, or not even donated, but some venue or groups will donate like wine, like I'm going to donate a case of wine to this event or whatever, you may not have to pay that per bottle cost, but you pay your corkage fees. The highest corkage fee I've ever paid is like $16 a bottle.
Yeah.
Most venues are not that expensive. And then if it's $16 a bottle, you might as well just buy the bottle yourself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every venue is so different in that respect. And you don't really negotiate too much on the corkage fees because you still have labor, right?
Right.
So you're going to have to pay it somehow.
Right.
How about if we're talking about attrition?
That
is the devil.
Retweet. That's most. We'll see. You might have to take over, but
I'll take.
That is for hotel rooms. So when you reserve a block of hotel rooms, you in the contract will say that I'm going to, or you sign that you're going to provide so many rooms in that block.
Yeah.
Usually is 80 the most common?
I would say 80% is the most common. And what we're talking about is if you say you're going to book 100 room nights, you need to meet at least 80 of those nights. Yeah. Most venues. There are some of them that have 90% attrition. Some have 70. Every venue is so different in that respect.
Or none. We occasionally have come across
none.
It's weird. And you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it is
Score.
Yeah. So then if you don't meet that, then you have to cover all rooms. So
all the revenue.
If we keep the 100 and you only get 50 rooms, then you need to pay for 30 rooms that you didn't get.
Did you get that math, Maddie?
I did.
Okay, great.
I typed it in my calculator.
Yeah, you just need to meet it up to that 80% or whatever that is. Yep. And really it's expected revenue. So sometimes people think it's hotel rooms that are booked, but it's nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most venues it is nights anyway. But you always want to advise your client on not to over commit. Because a lot of venues will let you add on, not all. Like we're dealing with it right now out of state where they won't let us add on any at that same rate. And the new negotiated rate is vastly higher. So you Yeah, it's always a tough sell of making sure you've got enough, but not overcommitting. I've had to pay attrition bills, not me personally, but other events where you're talking into 5 figures.
That's crazy.
Yeah, of rooms that didn't get slept in.
Right.
So yeah, you don't want to overcommit, but you need to make sure you've got enough set aside.
Yeah. Okay, we just have time for a couple more. So what are confidence monitors for those that do not know?
So that is, it's sort of like a teleprompter.
Yeah.
But basically, if you have a stage and you have a speaker, instead of having like a teleprompter in front of you, we have a confidence monitor that's below them. So it's pretty much level with the stage. It's usually a TV. It displays their PowerPoint. If they have any notes, it has that on there as well. And then we can put like clocks and stuff on there. So it's basically just a way that they can keep notes.
Yeah.
For
and
when they're
can have a
presenting.
countdown clock on there. Sometimes some of our events have 2 confidence monitors on stage, one on the left, one on the right. So it'll showcase both when you're walking across the stage, but using one for timing is important.
Yep.
Good question.
Okay, we have time for one more.
What about rigging?
Well, it's when you rig stuff. I don't even know like the best way to say it, but
From the ceiling, usually.
Yeah, it's mostly from the ceiling, or sometimes you can suspend things from trussing, which trussing is like the big pipe things where you can hang stuff from. But yeah, we can only rig. There's a lot of different rigging capacities, but in some venues you can't rig because of fire code or marshals or all that other stuff. But yeah, rigging.
And it's kind of interesting because you have to bring in a special person for rigging because they have to like know all the support beams and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
It's not us.
But
We
it's
know the
not
people.
us. We know the word and we know what it is, and then we know the people to do it.
What about our own lingo? I know we're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but let's talk about some of our own lingo.
Oh.
I feel like each of us have our own little
Like
phrase
phrase?
that we use all the time.
What's yours?
I overuse bless. So anytime something gets me a little bit jazzed, I go, bless.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sarah.
Okay, this is going to sound really dumb, but I can't roll my R's, but I love to say ochre.
Yeah, you do a good job at that.
Yeah,
Our own personal little
Cardi.
Cardi B in the house at all times.
pretty much.
When I don't want to do things, I'm like, I'm out on that business. I'm out. Like, I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's my big thing. I'm out.
Let's
What about
see.
you?
What do I say a lot?
I know. I'll say what you say. I know what she says. She's like, we are a hot mess with 2 T's. Hot.
Usually it's like hot mess with 2 T's.
Because you'll usually find me, like, or all of us, like, we're in a rush to get somewhere, and before you know it, like, things are flying.
Dropping.
Like, dropping water bottles, dropping chargers, like, things are flying out of our backpacks. Like, it's
always a
mess.
water bottle. Let's be real. It's always a water
Your
bottle.
water bottle, literally, Brian Alice from Chicago, anybody else could say, like, your water bottle is the demise of you. All of them.
I love it. It keeps me hydrated. But yeah, it just always falls on
It's
my
so funny.
backpack.
Or we were at the airport. I have to share the story. We were at the airport in Chicago, I think it was, or I don't know where we were. But it drops out of her bag. I swear to God, it was a gunshot. And people were like looking around, like, what was that? But it literally hit the ground so hard that it sounded like something went off.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite
It was
was
her
we were
water
in St.
bottle.
Louis and we got picked up, and it fell out once I put my backpack in the car, and it fell out when he hit a turn. He took a turn really hard, and it fell out, and then you just hear it rolling around.
Boom. Boom.
I was parked. I was just like waiting for it. And we were
Hot mess.
I was just like stood underneath the trunk, like waiting for it to come out to catch me.
Hot. Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
We got a lot of lingo.
We do.
Hopefully, people learned something. Maybe,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
about all of our
And the
fun.
next time they're in a meeting, they won't be like, what?
Yeah.
They'll get it.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was fun.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Good Work. We hope you enjoyed hearing all about the language we use in the event world and even some of our comical moments. Tune in next week as we introduce you to our friend, Thomas Christensen from Profile by Sanford. Don't forget to subscribe to The Good Work on YouTube and iTunes and follow the event company on social media to stay up to date on the good work we are part of each day.